is up, everyone, and welcome to Men vs. Movies. I'm Griffin, as always.
And that would make me Nick. And it has been quite some time, so it's going to take a little while to get used to this, but we're going to work through it together.
Yeah, now, just so you all know, we are actually in the same room. I can look at him right there. He can come over here, and I would go over there, but I'm very comfortable in this setting. And we're just going to do a little split screen magic here and make it all work for you guys.
Split screen!
So you clicked on it, you know what we're talking about. This is the video you've all been waiting for. It's the video that we've been super excited for. Our top 10 movies of the year of 2017. And there's been a lot of good ones, right?
There's been very many good ones.
There's been a lot of good ones.
I have not seen a lot of them.
Yes, our lists are going to be very different. So I think it'll give you a nice spectrum of the kinds of films that impacted 2017.
Yeah, and especially the kinds of films that anyone that is super into movies can go and see, and then what probably the average viewer has seen who just didn't have time to go out of their way to the special theaters would have, but didn't have the time to do it.
So you're going to get a nice little conglomerate of films here, and if you haven't seen any of the ones that
The cheese platter,
yes. If you haven't seen any of the ones that we mentioned in this video, we highly implore you to go check them out, because every single film I think we're going to talk about here is incredible. Am I wrong? Or
we'll see. If
we shall see.
You think mine are incredible, and if I think yours are incredible.
All right, so before we dive into our top 10 list, Nick is going to tell you how we're going to go over the list, and then we're going to give you some honorable mentions. So
all right, so the way that we're going to do this is we're going to do my bottom three, then Griffin's bottom three, then my next two, then Griffin's next two. And then we're going to trade one apiece just so that we can get all the way up to the top, and we will see what the best movie of 2017 truly is.
Yes, it's going to be a great discussion, so hope you all enjoy it. And let's start now with honorable mentions.
So first thing we're going to start with here is going to be Kingsman 2. Kingsman 2, I enjoyed a lot more than the original. I thought it was just more fun. The action sequences were incredible. It was over the top. I had a blast watching it. The first one was a little off-putting the way it ended, but then this one it rectifies that. You see what I did there?
Little
rectal
butt puns.
Yeah, and I think that this movie was just an all-around better film. Maybe not from a cinematic standpoint, but enjoyable. Yeah, I thought it was definitely more enjoyable. Next movie I want to mention is the Lego Batman movie. This was the #1 animated movie of the year for a very long time, and it was on my list for a very long time, up until November. Now, if anyone knows, that's when another animated movie came out that was very good. But the Lego Batman movie was just fun. It was witty. It had all these great references, all these Easter eggs. I thought it was a fantastic Batman story. Way better than that crap we got in November with the Justice League. So stupid. But yeah, that's why Lego Batman is an honorable mention. It just barely made the list, but it obviously did not. Next and lastly, I would like to discuss a movie that not a lot of you probably have seen. Griffin introduced me to it. I didn't really even know that it was coming out.
Yeah, this is going to be one that's on my honorable mentions as well.
Yeah, it's going to be Score, the film documentary, or the film music Score. It's called Score, and it's a film music documentary. All right.
Yeah.
Go and check this movie out. If you love film scores, if you love soundtracks, you'll absolutely love learning more about them and how they're made, how the composers go about what they're doing. Hans Zimmer, John Williams. Those are two big ones that I can remember off the top of my head right now. Brian Tyler. You will never forget what he does. So funny. Score is a fantastic movie that delves into the world of music in movies. It's something that needs to be seen and appreciated if you like film scores. Those are my honorable mentions. What do you got for me, man?
All right, so I have kind of a hefty list here of honorable mentions. I'm going to run through them really quickly. I'm really not going to talk about them, but I'm just going to go over them. So my first honorable mention, it killed me not to put this on my list because I recently saw it and I absolutely fell in love with it. That is The Big Sick. If you have not seen that, highly recommend. I, Tonya was another movie I recently just saw.
It's not on your list.
Film about, yeah, I know.
I was expecting it to be.
It was so close. It was so close, but it just didn't make the cut. I highly encourage you all to see both of those movies. Star Wars The Last Jedi. I really enjoyed it, but I just found other movies that were better and more enjoyable, so didn't make the list. Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Phenomenal film. Serious Best Picture contender, but for me, just didn't make the list. Darkest Hour, the Winston Churchill biopic. Gary Oldman gives the best performance of his career. He is a shoo-in for the Best Actor role or award come Oscar season. Just the movie, I don't know. I just didn't make my list because there were other movies I enjoyed more.
He's on your list.
Dude, it's crazy. Kingsman: The Golden Circle is an honorable mention for me as well. Score, Wind River, It, John Wick Chapter 2, Logan Lucky, Stronger. There's so many more movies here. Get Out. Get Out was another movie that I absolutely loved, but I just couldn't put it on the list. So
yeah, I should have mentioned Stronger. I love that movie.
Stronger is incredible.
Great performance.
Actually, it's a very underrated film. If you've not seen Stronger, Jake Gyllenhaal gives one of the best performances of the year, so definitely go check that out. I've got a few other ones here, but I'll just leave it at that. Those are the movies that didn't quite make my list, but I absolutely loved, and it killed me not to put it on there. 2017 was a tough year for this list. I gotta say, one of the hardest ones in recent memory. So without further ado, let's dive into the top 10. Nick, what is your bottom 3?
All right, so my number 10 is something that just recently came out. I've seen it twice already. I didn't know if I should put it on my list, but the absolute enjoyment that I got from this movie, I just needed to. It's Jumanji. Welcome to the Jungle. Jumanji 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't even believe this. Nick has Jumanji on his list.
Of the top 10 movies.
That is a hot take. That's a bold move.
That's a bold move.
That is a bold move.
I loved this movie. It's a direct sequel to the original Jumanji. It essentially warps the board game into a video game for the new age of gamers, and it just was a fantastic, fun ride with the cast having spectacular chemistry.
The chemistry
Kevin
was great,
Hart,
yeah.
Jack Black, Karen Gillan. Oh yeah, The Rock. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. The villain wasn't great, but you know what? Who cares? The whole thing about this world, the whole essence of Jumanji is that the group comes together to work as a team. And that is how the old one was, and that is how this one is. And that comes through.
Yeah, for sure. No, it definitely really enjoyable. It just, for me, I mean, it wasn't great. Like it was, it was really solid. It's one of the
great comedy.
It was. It's one of the best family adventure films I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it, go see it for that. Take your whole family. But just for me, it wasn't top 10 material.
Yeah, I can understand that. I only put it on because of rewatchability.
Sure.
And the amount of fun I actually had in the theater.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how I did this whole list, which is based around enjoyment and then on the quality of the actual picture.
Absolutely.
My number 9 is really low for this movie, I think. However, there was just more movies, like I said, more movies that I had more fun with. Now, this one is Wonder Woman. If you guys haven't seen Wonder Woman, you have to check it out. It's a great movie. It's got awesome action sequences. Gal Gadot is absolutely incredible, phenomenal, hot, everything you could imagine, and just completely embodies the Wonder Woman. Go and check this out. I don't want to give a synopsis, just go and see the movie. My number 8 is gonna be, what are we talking? The Disaster Artist. I loved this movie. It was hilarious. It was a real cool window into the backstory of The Room, which I still have to see, but I've watched clips and it's absolutely terrible. This movie would have been higher on my list had I seen The Room. Since I haven't, it wound up being at number 8. And just James Franco's performance was absolutely phenomenal.
It's one of the best this year. We will touch on that one a little bit later on.
Touching on a few a little bit later.
We're touching on a few later on.
So we'll get more into the discussion of the Disaster Artist a little bit later.
Yeah.
Definitely check the Disaster Artist out. Now, Griffin, I believe it's time for your 3.
Yes, my bottom 3. All right. Well, I'm kind of cheating here because I have a number 11. It was a movie that.
No, that doesn't. You can't
listen.
Do that.
I'm not gonna.
You cannot do that. That is ridiculous.
Okay.
You have to start at 10. If it's at 11, it's an honorable mention.
Okay.
This is a top 10 list. They clicked on the button to say the top 10, not the top 11, not Nick's top 10 and Griffin's top 11, and a few honorable mentions.
All right. Well, then to calm everyone down, my number 11 and the movie that was at number 10 for the longest time, which is now considered an honorable mention, is Brigsby Bear. It's one of the most endearing films, most original films I've seen the entire year. Go check it out. It killed me not to put it at 10. All right, now we're moving on to the real number 10, because I can't cheat.
That was bullshit.
It was bullshit, but I had to do it. So anyways, the real number 10 is a movie I just saw. And going into it, I was expecting good things, because I had heard insane amounts of buzz about the movie, but I didn't expect to love it this much. And that is Call Me By Your Name. Call Me By Your Name was an incredible movie. It was truly heartbreaking and emotional at multiple parts. Timothée Chalamet is a shoo-in for a Best Actor nomination. He blows me away. He gives one of the best performances of the year in the final shot of this movie. Michael Stuhlbarg, who plays his father, gives the best supporting performance of the year in one scene. The relationship between Armie Hammer and Timothée Chalamet is something you really are able to buy into. You really feel for them in this whole situation, and just all around, the movie is incredible. If you have not seen this, I highly encourage you to go check it out. It feels so genuine and real, and that's, I think, the part of the reason why it really resonated with me. So that's why Call Me By Your Name is at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is Wonder Woman. Same thing.
So same spot.
I mean, what can we say about this movie that hasn't already been said? Wonder Woman is an incredible movie. It's one of the best superhero films ever made. Gal Gadot owns the role. She is Wonder Woman. It's kind of hard to believe.
Origin.
Yeah.
Superhero origin.
I would argue one of the best superhero films,
really?
But it is definitely like one of the best superhero origin films.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I mean, there's so much to like in here. I think the most memorable moment for me is the crossing of the no man's land.
Super figurative, symbolic.
Super symbolic.
I love
the
that.
way it's shot, the music, everything just really works for there. The chemistry between her and Chris Pine, you believe that romance. It's genuine. Chris Pine actually gives one of his best performances in this movie, which I did not expect. And just the impact of it, the importance of it, and how well Patty Jenkins was able to execute this movie, it really, really was a feat. It put the DCEU back in the ball game before another movie came out and kind of
put the ball game in a different arena.
It's a different list.
Such a
different
stupid
list. But anyways, I'm sure many of you have seen Wonder Woman. If you haven't, definitely check it out. I can't recommend it enough.
In my mind, that's the only DCEU movie at this point.
I like Man of Steel.
I do not like Man of Steel.
That's okay. That's why we're moving on to number 8. And number 8 is the gnarliest movie I have seen all year. It is badass from start to finish. And Vince Vaughn gives probably his best performance. That is Brawl in Cell Block 99. This is just one brutal, badass movie that had me engaged from the get-go. And the best part is Vince Vaughn gives such a subtle, commanding performance without doing a whole lot of talking, but through his actions, his physicality, the way he has to fight through this prison in order to get to this one guy.
Vince Vaughn fighting through a prison?
Dude, you look at it on paper and you're like, there's no way that Vince Vaughn would be able to like pull off this role. He is probably like, I want to see him in more badass kind of action films after seeing this movie.
Really? Was there any like funny Vaughnerisms?
Well, there were some funny moments. It was a lot of like situational kind of comedy, but he's pretty straightforward in this film, and I was damn impressed with him, I gotta say.
Wow.
So,
all right.
This is one that I know a lot of people have not seen. So if you have not seen Brawl in Cell Block 99, definitely go check it out. It's by the same guy who did Bone Tomahawk, and I believe he's actually reteaming with Vince Vaughn for his next film, and Mel Gibson's going to be in it. So I can't wait to see what they do with that one. All right, back to you for your next 3.
All right, so now, as everyone knows, if you've seen this show at all when I was on it, I am an enormous Star Wars fan.
Get ready for the hate comments. Get ready for it.
Enormous.
And
I would never expect to put it this low on my list.
Oh.
But at number 7, I have Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi.
I think it's a fair spot for it, though, because there was a lot of stuff that worked in that movie, but there was some stuff that didn't, as you know, you're probably going to mention, but
yeah,
I think it's a fair spot.
But I don't think that the hate for this movie is warranted.
It's a little out of control.
What happened is that everybody had expectations and theories going around that they began to love. And when you do that, when you go into a movie and you don't get exactly that, you get disappointed. And that's why I think everyone seems a little bit on the edgy side about this movie.
Fair enough, yeah.
And that is exactly what happened to me the first time I saw it. Saw it again the second time, loved it. enough to put it on my top 10 list, obviously.
Yeah, there's a lot of great moments in here. Some of the best in Star Wars
Fantastic
history. Yeah.
moments. Rey and Luke Skywalker, they go do their training thing and whatnot, and it starts right after The Force Awakens, which in my mind is actually a better movie. This movie does work on very many levels. Like Griffin said, it has great Star Wars moments, there's great character moments, and I think that this movie is more of a character development movie more so than an action set piece movie. Even though it does have great action set pieces, it's a lot slower than most of the other Star Wars movies. So my number 6 is going to be an animated movie. Coco is going to be my number 6. Absolutely adored this movie.
I'm a little surprised, although I remember when you texted me and you're like, dude, Coco had me crying. I was like, it's probably going to end up on his list.
Yeah, had me in tears. I loved it. It's about Dias de los Muertos in Mexican culture. It dives into it really deep, and I think it's just awesome that Disney and Pixar went into this culture and like explored it, because there's a lot of things, I'm not Mexican, but there's a lot of things that they did in there that I didn't know, and now I know about that culture a little bit more. It dives into some really deep themes and gets into this dark area that Pixar does sometimes, and I just thought that the colors and everything, I can't wait to see this movie on Blu-ray or in 4K if I have the ability to, because it was just a genuine, happy movie that went into this area that I never thought it would have gone. And I never would have expected a Disney Pixar movie to go there or do anything remotely close to this. Absolutely wonderful. Go see Coco if you haven't seen it. Griffin, what's your next two?
All right, going into my next two. My number 7 is another movie that has one of the best performances of the year. Robert Pattinson completely transforms. This is an incredible crime, Midnight Odyssey thriller, and that is Good Time. The Safdie brothers crafted something just so visceral and unique, and it just sucks you in from the get-go. The use of close-ups, the use of neon light, the score. Ben Safdie, who plays Robert Pattinson's younger brother, who is mentally handicapped. There's a lot going on here that is just mesmerizing, and it's a shame I don't know or believe that Robert Pattinson will be nominated for Best Actor. He should be in the conversation because he completely transforms, and he's a very interesting character in that he's really despicable, but you understand kind of like what he's doing out of love for your brother and all sorts of stuff like that. I don't want to dive into this too much because it's a movie that you really just need to watch and experience, but if you love crime thrillers, if you love great performances, and if you want something a little bit different, highly recommend Good Time, and that's why it's at number 7.
Robert Pattinson, really?
Robert Pattinson blew me away in this movie.
I didn't see this. Again, haven't seen a lot.
Well, you can borrow it from me.
You have it.
I do. So we can...
now I can see it.
Now he can see it.
Maybe my top 10 will change.
Maybe it'll change. My number 6 is going to surprise a lot of people because it's not higher. For the longest time, it was my favorite movie of the year. But that is Logan. Logan is at number 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, what else can you say about this movie? Hugh Jackman is incredible. Patrick Stewart gives probably the best performance he's ever given in the introduction of Daphne Keane as X-23. I can't wait to see what she's going to do. I hope they bring back the character for more films. If it was up to me, if I were running the Academy Awards, all 3 of these actors and actresses would be nominated for their respective category. I mean, just to see Hugh Jackman go out on a note like this and in a superhero film that doesn't feel like a superhero film. It feels like a Western, intense thriller movie, a character drama. I mean, there's so many different elements thrown into this movie that are incredible, and it is probably in my top 2 favorite comic book films of all time. It's like this and The Dark Knight. I think James Mangold needs to be commended on being able to finally bring this story to life. It's the Wolverine that we've always wanted to see. It's that hard R, gritty feel. What a great way for Hugh Jackman to go out. I mean, you can't... It's just incredible.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Let's keep the conversation going because that is my number 5.
There we go. Logan at number 5.
Logan at number 5 because from a qualitative standpoint, this movie is probably the best superhero movie of the year.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like you said, the performance is absolutely incredible. I mean, Hugh Jackman, I want him to win something, but I know it's impossible.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really tricky.
But he gave me emotions that I never thought I would have had for this character in particular. Can you imagine this journey that they've gone on from 2001 when they were
2000.
Yeah,
wow. This 17-year long journey.
Wow. That's why this movie's on in its number 5 slot.
Well deserved, not a bad spot. I wish it could be higher, but there were just movies that you like more, for sure.
And it's not higher for me because there was movies that I enjoyed more.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I can rewatch. This one I can watch, but then I get a little depressed after.
It's emotionally taxing.
I want to have a few drinks. And I don't necessarily want that every single time I watch a movie.
That's the reason why my number 5 is War for the Planet of the Apes. Much for the same. Wait, you want to talk about a depressing film? War for the Planet of the Apes is an incredibly depressing film. It's so emotional, but my God, is it incredible. I think it's the best film out of the Apes trilogy. Out of the Apes franchise, to be honest with you. Andy Serkis is unbelievable as Caesar. Even though he's doing all the motion capture stuff, his performance comes through. It's definitely Andy Serkis doing that. And really, I love the fact that the movie focused on Caesar and the apes and not necessarily their interactions with the humans. They touch on it a little bit, but less so in this movie than we've seen in previous films.
Because you didn't need to, because now they're more anthropomorphic.
Exactly. Well, in the journey that he goes on, it's kind of like a prison breakout kind of film mixed with like historical and religious allegories that are just tastefully done, beautiful. It's just such a touching and emotional film in the perfect way for Matt Reeves to have concluded this incredible Apes trilogy, one of the best trilogies of all time, if you ask me. But that's why Apes is at number 5 for me.
We'll talk more about it.
Oh, it's getting up there. All right.
So, my number 4 is going to be another superhero movie, but it's above Logan simply based on enjoyable.
Is it what I think it is?
I believe it is.
Oh, dear me.
I put it this high because I just had such a good time.
Wow.
Such a good time. Number 4 is Thor Ragnarok.
That is almost blasphemous, but go ahead, talk about it.
Blasphemous. I freaking loved this movie. I had such a fun time in the theater. Dying. Taika Waititi. Takiti.
Oh my God.
Taika Waititi is absolutely great at directing and comedy, and he should have been the only one to do Thor movies.
Yeah,
because
for
now
sure.
I look at Thor, and this is Thor. This is how Thor should be done. It just had that Kirby-esque feel.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah.
It was hilarious. It was great action set pieces. On a rewatchability standpoint, you can just put this on whenever.
You really can.
That's why I have it above Logan, because I can watch this and have a great time. This movie just was a nice break from the depressingness of stuff happening and whatnot in the world, and it just was a good way to. A great way for Marvel to end the year.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. There's no shame in putting it there. It's definitely really enjoyable. Some people will question your placement of that film, but I think you explained it well. You defended it well. So
it's fun.
Okay, so moving on to my number 4. Now, this is a movie I know is going to be way higher on your list, and for a lot of reasons, it probably should be higher on mine because it's an incredible film.
No.
It's Blade Runner 2049.
No.
It's
No.
It is an excellent movie.
No, yeah.
It is an excellent movie. And actually, I think the one thing we have to mention here is that Denis Villeneuve was able to do something that I didn't think was possible, and that was at the very least match the greatness of the original Blade Runner. In some cases, surpassed it.
I think it surpassed.
I've only seen this movie once. I need to see it again, but it really resonated with me. I felt completely engrossed in it and completely immersed. The cinematography by Roger Deakins is hands down the best of the year. If he doesn't win an Oscar for this, I will be seriously disappointed in the Academy. The performances by Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford. I forget the girl's name who plays his virtual girlfriend, but she was incredible. There's a lot of poetic themes going on in this film, and I loved Agent K's journey throughout the course of this movie. It was so engaging. It's gonna be one that people come back to and revisit for the richness that it has. It's such a riveting film. We're very fortunate to live in a time we got a movie that can stand on its own, yet be a sequel to Blade Runner and be this incredible. I'm gonna let you gush about it a little bit later on. I know it's definitely up there. I mean, Blade Runner 2049 is a masterfully crafted movie. Not a single thing wrong with it.
And that's why it should be higher.
Well, there's other movies that I just preferred more. So, all right, now on to you for your number 3.
My number 3 is Baby Driver.
That's my number 3.
Is it really?
Yes,
Let's have
it
a
is.
discussion.
Hell yeah, let's talk about it. Yes, Baby Driver. Oh,
Yeah.
goddamn, this movie.
Just the editing alone puts it in the top 3.
I completely agree.
So on
So
point.
well
And that's
edited.
why I liked it, because it's like those videos where you see like these like perfect things just like falling into place or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what this movie is from start to finish.
Yeah.
Absolutely love this movie. The performances all around. Jamie Foxx was absolutely hilarious.
Jamie Foxx blew my mind in this movie.
So good.
One of the more memorable performances out of the film for sure.
Yeah,
And,
along with Baby.
Ansel Elgort was great. Even John Hamm towards the end really brought it.
John Hamm. I love John
loved
Hamm in the movie.
But I think Edgar Wright did something. For me, this is my favorite Edgar Wright film, and I really like Scott Pilgrim versus the World. But I think this movie just, the precision, the heist elements, taking a simple premise and just elevating it to a completely different and original area or level. The song choices were perfectly used. The editing to the music, every single thing in this movie is lined up to music. It is so precise, so incredibly well choreographed. The action sequences, some of the most memorable in recent memory. This is a lot of fun.
It's a great movie.
This is why you go to the movies in a lot of, regards.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It really is truly
Now
a great
you've done
movie.
my 3, your 3. I guess we're going to my 2.
Yeah, what's your 2?
My 2 was your what was it, 5 or 4?
Number 5.
Yeah, War for the Planet of
Yeah,
the Apes.
okay. I had a feeling.
Absolutely loved this movie. It's my favorite Planet of the Apes movie. The performances by Andy Serkis, you can even tell that it wasn't CGI. Everything in his face, the capturing of his eye movements, the pain, the suffering that he felt.
Yeah.
Caesar is probably one of the best character arcs, I think, that we have right now.
Yeah, I mean, at least in recent memory.
Recent memory, yeah.
With time, I could see him just like going down in history as one of the most iconic characters for sure.
Yeah, it just was such a well-performed movie. Even Woody Harrelson, I thought, gave it.
Yeah, he was a great villain. I mean, some people were like, oh, he had that one scene where he was all exposition, but it was like, that's the only exposition scene in the entire film.
And you needed that.
You did need it, yeah.
Because then it set up his ultimate what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a poetic death in a lot of ways. Yeah,
Very poetic movie. I loved the symbolism that was laced throughout the movie.
that was one of my favorite parts too.
Oh, the score as well by
Michael Giacchino's score
was really, really, really
so
well done.
well
They
done.
carried the themes over from pretty much every single one of those movies. Oh man, this movie is so good.
It's great. It's
I can
very.
watch this over and over again, even though it's depressing.
Yeah, no, and I completely respect and understand why it's at your number 2. For me, there was a movie that I walked out and I was like, holy shit, I can't believe I love this movie as much as I
What
did.
could this be?
My number 2 is The Disaster Artist.
Oh, The Disaster Artist. You have that at number 2.
fell in love with this movie from the get-go. Like
You had seen The Room before.
I had seen The Room before.
I think I saw The Room. It would have been higher.
It may be. For me, the story works on its own. First of all, James Franco completely transforms into Tommy Wiseau. If Gary Oldman had not given that astounding performance in Darkest Hour, James Franco would be my pick for Best Actor for sure. He is the man. He captures all of the mannerisms, the tones, the speech,
Oh, hi,
the emotions. Oh, hi, Mark. I mean, like all that stuff is just incredibly well done. But on top of that, it's such an inspiring and feel-good story. Yeah, these guys created the worst movie ever made. But, I mean, they made a movie, a full-on budget film with actors and everything, and the end product may not have been great, but it was received in a way that it was almost like it transcends, what they were originally going for. It's a movie that will be remembered forever because of how enjoyably bad it is. And seeing, Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero's passion in the film, their relationship, it's really touching. And then on top of that, it is damn funny. This is probably the funniest movie I have seen all year. It had me in tears at multiple points, especially that one diner scene where they're like quoting Shakespeare or something. It's just so ridiculous, and some of the most iconic moments from The Room recreated in this movie. It's something that I was glad was made. I'm glad this film happened. Definitely check it out. I highly recommend it. Even if you haven't seen The Room, I think there's a lot to enjoy in this movie. It's very touching and sincere, which is something I can't say for a lot of films, but this movie felt very sincere and endearing. On to the main event. All right, Nick, give it to me. Give me your number one. I know what it is. It's time for you to gush. Gush.
I can't believe you have this at number 4.
Great movie. It's a really great movie. It's just, I don't know about rewatchability for me.
Blade Runner 2049 is my favorite movie of 2017. Absolutely love this movie. I was sucked into a painting. I had never felt like that before. I had never felt so immensely captivated by a film before that this might even be one of my favorite movies ever.
I think a lot of people would probably, like, who feel the same way about the movie as you do, I think they would agree with that.
Yeah, like, honestly, I'm not the biggest Blade Runner fan. Like, I saw it for the first time this year. I thought it was okay, but this movie took it to a whole new level for me. It took it above and beyond where that movie was. It brought in some of the old elements, brought in some of the old technology, and it brought it back. It just was a movie that kept me guessing the entire time. It kept me captivated. It kept me pausing the movie and looking at it and just completely immersed. The pictures and the soundtrack and the ambiance of that was created by the director and the cinematographer blew me away. The story was great. Even the acting by Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Super well done. This movie, man, I can't even begin to tell you how much I love it. My parents hated it. My parents absolutely hated it. Some people don't like it.
It's a very niche movie, so like I understand it. Kind of like mine. My number one is also kind of a niche movie in a different genre.
The sound and the Hans Zimmer score and Benjamin Wallfisch, absolutely fantastic. It sucks you in. It also makes you feel like you're looking at something beautiful and something that you should cherish. What's your number one, man?
Well, in case you didn't know, I'm wearing the goddamn shirt for it. My number one is Christopher Nolan's best film he's ever made. Best directed film. I will say it's his best directed film.
I don't mean to retract from...
No. It's like my personal favorite, maybe not, but I think it is his best directed film. I've been championing this movie ever since I originally saw it in the theater. Had the best, probably one of the top 5 theater going experiences of my life, and that is Dunkirk. This movie does something incredible. It takes the war film genre and it completely spins it on its head. We get something here with the non-linear storylines that is really intriguing, and you don't entirely know what's going on until all the pieces come together, and it blows your mind. I mean, it's Nolan doing what Nolan does best. But on top of that, the dogfighting sequences in this film with Tom Hardy are some of the best just aerial battles I've ever seen in a movie. Much like you were saying with Blade Runner, it transports you into the world. There's a little window that opens up here into this period in time, and you are dropped right in there on the ground with these soldiers, in the air with the pilots, on the boat with the civilians who are trying to rescue these guys from the beaches of Dunkirk. Yeah, people complain, oh, well, you don't care about the characters. You don't care about this. The characters are not the focal point of the film. The point of the characters is for you to kind of project yourself into their shoes and feel the same pain and longing to get home that they felt. I mean, it's a very relatable movie in that regard. As far as the stakes go, the stakes are very real. I love the way that he decided not to show the enemy as much. It felt more ominous that way. There were just these unknown enemies coming from the skies, and it added more to the suspense, the terror, the dread that was going on. That's something else that I absolutely loved about this movie, is that it had you on the edge of your seat from the get-go. It's riveting in that regard, and I think a lot of that has to be contributed to Nolan and Hoyt van Hoytema, the cinematographer, and the way that they crafted the movie, but also a lot of the credit has to go to Hans Zimmer for that incredible score that is truly the heartbeat of the film, propelling it forward, keeping you on edge, the constant ticking, all the sound effects. Everything with this movie really worked for me, and it really resonated, and it gave me a war film experience unlike anything I've ever seen before. Actually, I'd go a step further, give me a cinematic experience unlike anything I've ever seen before. I seriously think Christopher Nolan needs to be commended for his work on this, because as far as a directing standpoint goes, this movie is flawless. There is absolutely nothing more you could have asked for him. I've gushed about this film since I saw it, so if you want to see me gush about it a little bit more, you can always go check out my review. But that is why Dunkirk, for me, is my favorite film of 2017.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I wasn't a fan of Dunkirk.
I know, and you're not alone. There's a group of people out there who did not care for this film. I can respect your opinion. Just for me,
but I hear where you're coming from. Where you said every single thing. For me, it was the opposite effect. The only thing I liked about the movie was really the dogfighting.
Yeah.
Just wish that they focused on that storyline, and I wanted to see like Tom Hardy and his actual story arc play out. It didn't hit me the way that it hit you, and I respect where you're coming from. I just wanted to say that it wasn't for me.
Valid point.
As you could, two different spectrums
Here, but 20 incredible films from both of us that if you haven't seen, you should definitely check out. I mean, 2017 overall, I think, has been an incredible year for cinema. Would you?
I would agree. Yeah, definitely. I want to see more that came out this year. I'm going to definitely check it out. My list could change.
Well, anyways, hopefully you guys all enjoyed our respective top 10 lists. You know, like we mentioned, all film is subjective. Really, your list is going to be a whole lot different from our list. These are just in our opinion, these are the best films of the year for our respective lists. But let us know what your personal top 10 list is down in the comment section below. We'd love to hear from you. And then while you're down there, be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more movie lists like this and movie-related content. We got a whole bunch of stuff planned for 2018, and I think it's going to be a good year overall. You can also like Men vs. Movies on Facebook and follow us on Twitter simply by searching Men v Movies. And lastly, guys, Nick, where can everyone find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter at Nick Castro 1395. I'll be there sometimes. I'm never really on it. I'm not a tweeter.
He's not a tweeter, but it's okay.
If you need me, tweet at me and we'll have a discussion about movies.
You can debate with him all you want.
Yeah, you like Blade Runner? You should.
Well, and lastly, guys, if you like me specifically and you like what I have to say, you can always give me a follow on Twitter at Griff Schiller. All right, that'll do it for this top 10 list, guys. And until next time, take care.